Ever wondered why ancient Egyptians went through such elaborate lengths to mummify their dead? Was it just a spooky ritual? Or was there some incredible science and deep belief behind it all? Let's unwrap the secrets of mummification. First, let's get one thing straight. It wasn't just about preserving the body. For the Egyptians, death wasn't an end, but a transition to the afterlife. They believed each person had a soul with several parts. One part, the ka, was your life force, like a spiritual twin that needed a physical body to return to. Another part, the ba, was your personality, depicted as a human-headed bird that could travel between the world of the living and the dead. For the soul to survive eternally, the body had to remain recognizable. If the body decayed, the ka and ba would be lost forever, and your eternal life was over. So, mummification was basically insurance policy for eternity. Now, who got the 5-star mummification treatment? Initially, it was a VIP-only service, reserved for pharaohs and the super wealthy elite. But over thousands of years, as beliefs evolved and techniques improved, more people could afford some form of mummification. It became a cultural cornerstone. Even animals weren't left out. Cats, dogs, crocodiles, and birds were mummified in the millions, often as offerings to the gods or to join their owners in the afterlife. Imagine being reunited with your pet cat for eternity. The Egyptians were way ahead of us on that one. So, how did they actually do it? The process was part sacred ritual, part grisly surgical procedure. It took about 70 days and was handled by specialized priests who were also expert embalmers. The first step was removing the internal organs, which decay the fastest. They made an incision on the left side of the body to take out the stomach, intestines, liver, and lungs. Each organ was cleaned, dried, and placed in its own special container called a canopic jar. These jars were protected by the first sons of the god Horus, ensuring the organs were safe for the afterlife. But what about the brain? The Egyptians didn't think it was very important. They believed the heart was the center of intelligence and emotion. So, they used a long, hooked instrument, inserted through the nostrils, to essentially scramble the brain and pull it out in pieces. It sounds gross, but it was a necessary step to prevent the head from rotting from the inside out. The heart, however, was almost always left inside the body. It was considered the most crucial organ for the final judgment. The deceased would face the weighing of the heart ceremony, where their heart was weighed against the feather of Mat, the goddess of truth and justice. If the heart was lighter than the feather, you were granted eternal life. If it was heavier, your heart was devoured by a fearsome creature named Amit, and your soul was destroyed. Talk about high stakes. After the organs were removed, the real preservation began. The body was completely covered and packed with a type of salt called natron. Natron is a naturally occurring mixture of sodium carbonate and sodium bicarbonate, basically a superpowered version of baking soda. It's an incredible desiccant, meaning it sucks out all the moisture from the tissues. This is the key to stopping decomposition. The body was left in natron for about 40 days until it was completely dried out. This process would dramatically shrink the body and make the skin leathery, but it kept the physical form intact. Once the drying process was complete, the body was cleaned and treated with oils and resins to make the skin more supple and fragrant. Resins, like frankincense and myrrh, also had antibacterial properties, adding another layer of protection. The empty body cavity was then stuffed with linen, sawdust, or other materials to restore its original shape, making it look more lifelike. Sometimes, they'd even place artificial eyes made of stone or glass into the sockets. It was all about making the body a perfect, eternal home for the soul. Finally, the wrapping. This was a meticulous and ritualistic process. Hundreds of yards of fine linen bandages were used to wrap the entire body. Priests would carefully wrap each finger and toe individually before moving on to the limbs and torso. As they wrapped, they would place magical amulets and charms between the layers of linen. These amulets offer protection on the journey to the afterlife. One of the most important was the scarab beetle amulet, placed over the heart to protect it during the final judgment. The priests would also chant spells and prayers from the Book of the Dead, a sort of ancient travel guide for the underworld. After the wrapping was complete, a final shroud was placed over the body, and it was secured with more linen strips. A painted portrait mask was often placed over the head and shoulders of the mummy, showing an idealized image of the deceased. This wasn't just decoration, it was meant to help the soul recognize its body. The mummy was then placed in a series of nested coffins, like Russian dolls, before being laid to rest in a tomb. The tomb itself was a crucial part of the plan. It was seen as the eternal home for the deceased. Tombs were filled with everything a person might need in the afterlife: furniture, food, clothes, tools, and even game boards for entertainment. The walls were often decorated with spells and scenes of an idealized life, meant to magically become real in the next world. For pharaohs, these tombs were elaborate structures like the pyramids or the hidden chambers in the Valley of the Kings, designed to protect the royal mummy and its treasures from grave robbers for all eternity. So, when you see a mummy in a museum, you're not just looking at an ancient preserved body. You're looking at the result of an incredible fusion of science, religion, and art. The Egyptians' understanding of chemistry and human anatomy was years ahead of its time. They developed a system so effective that it has preserved their people for over 3,000 years, allowing us to learn directly from them. Mummification was their ultimate answer to the universal human fear of being forgotten. It was a powerful declaration that life, in some form, would triumph over death. It's a testament to a civilization that believed so deeply in forever, they actually found a way to touch it. Thanks so much for exploring the world of ancient Egypt with me today. If you enjoyed this journey into the past, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more adventures, and hit that notification bell. See you next time.